Today we're not going to get the box because we're going to make sure in advance. I feel like I just read that often. Anyway. Real YouTubist, reveal back of head. I know you're excited for 250k special. Dracovish cosplay coming soon. Okay, so we have some business we have to talk about. Here's the deal. Okay, number one, back of head reveal. Headphones out. Okay. I need to be at about this height, and then I'm going to turn. Did it work? Can you see the back of my head? I'll move like a crab, okay? There you go. Thank you for 250,000 subscribers. I hope the back of my head was revealed. Drumman's Lab, everybody. Don't forget. Okay, there you go. Thanks for 250k. Kind of crazy. Dracovish cosplay, as I mentioned, we have a big reveal for, so coming soon. Oh no, I left the Dracovish cosplay in DC, and I'm not in DC anymore. Okay, Dracovish cosplay coming in sometime. It's finished. I'm just saving it. If ever the people get so impatient that it's my life or the cosplay, then I guess I'll just do it in a regular video. But we have a really good video planned for it. So it's the video that I'm working on to reveal the Dracovish cosplay is like it's been in the works for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months. Yeah. So basically, when I do it, I want to do it right. It's going to be the most I've ever worked on anything on the channel. So that's that. Anyway, okay. Some more housekeeping things. Number 2. Yesterday, I think in yesterday's video, people were complaining about the number of ads. Here's the deal. I thought it was obvious, but I'm gonna explain it to you. If the video is 3 hours long, there's gonna be more ads. I do the same rate, like the same minutes between ads in every video, but people always complain when there's a longer video with them. But the rate is the same. Like, if a video is longer, of course there's going to be more ads in it. If a video is 3 hours long, you're going to have more than a 20-minute video. I didn't think I would have to explain this. I thought it was pretty obvious that I do the same rate of ads on every video, regardless of length. And so, therefore, if the rate is the same, if the video is longer, there's more ads. Can you believe it? But yeah. Anyway, that's that. I don't know. I just like people thought they were super funny. Like, oh, there's a video in your ads. Very funny. It's 3 hours of content, okay? And it's good content, too. Don't yell at me. Anyway, okay, so, before we go any further, as you can see, this is a team report that I have in front of me. It's a team report of a player called Mithos. Mithos is the Seaking trainer that we talked about recently. This video got, like, a ton of interest with it. Before we go any further, I'm going to share the team report, including the spreads, and kind of talk about my impression of the team and what I liked about it and all that stuff. But I also want you guys, if you want, you can go check out Mithos' Twitter. This is it here. And he's going to be posting the rental team of the rental code of the team. So if you want to use this team yourselves, I don't have the Pokemon in game. You could obviously build it on like a simulator or whatever. But yeah, if you wanna like eventually use the rental code, I believe he's going to be posting it around the same time I post my video today. So if you're interested in trying out Seaking for yourself, go check him out on Twitter. You can also, I want to shout out my friend Flash as well. Flash helped me a lot. Mithos wasn't as confident in his ability to do English, and my Spanish is atrocious. So Flash is a longtime friend of mine. I met him in 2012 when we played at Worlds twice. At Worlds, actually. And he's a really nice guy, and he helped with translation. So I did just kind of want to give him a shout out as well, because it was really nice of him to help out. He's a friend of Mithos as well. So, yeah. So with all that being said, let's give some backstory. I posted the video about the team that won the 900 plus person event with what I believe to be mono water. Now, I'll give you a spoiler. The team was actually not mono water. It was 5 water Pokemon and then 1 dark type Urshifu. But the funny thing is that Urshifu in team preview, you can't tell the form. So most people, like myself, probably assumed it was water type to fit the mono water theme, but it's a troll. It's not water, it's dark type. So, Seaking Team with 5 water types and then a dark type Urshifu. Now, this team won a pretty big tournament with a lot of good players involved, and I previously said that I thought this tournament was only for Spanish players. It turns out that wasn't the case. Any player could enter the tournament. However, only Spanish players, I believe, could earn the points from doing well in the tournament. So, with all that being said, let's take a look at this report. It's 12 pages long, so we'll go through this somewhat quickly. We're not going to read everything super in depth. At first, Juan gives his backstory a little bit. He talks about he loves team building. He's actually, I didn't know this before I covered this tournament, but he's actually been playing since 2010, so he's actually been playing even longer than I have. But he says he hasn't been able to travel, so he hasn't really been able to try to qualify for Worlds, and obviously traveling is important. However, he shouts at a couple teams here that he built that did well in relatively big tournaments. And yeah, so even though he wasn't necessarily like always like traveling, he was still clearly involved, and he really likes building. So yeah, he actually says that he helped with like the EVs and the damage calculations here, and he wins the first VGC 2020 regional held in Bochum. So that's really cool. Now he talks about here. He plays for a year and a half. He doesn't play for a year and a half. I'll zoom in a little bit, so it's probably easier for y'all to see. He competes in the first Galar circuit. So the Victory Road Galar circuit, that's the second one, I believe, is the one that he wins with Seaking. But he actually gets third place with a lot of cool Pokemon like Toxtricity and Klefki and Ferrothorn, Milotic, Incid, and Dragapult. A bit of an unorthodox team. So that's the backstory. He's already come in third in one of these tournaments. And now he wants to try and do this this Mono Water team. Mono Water, we'll put in quotes. Okay, so about the team. I worked on it while watching the One Piece Water 7 arc. From there, I got the name of the team. And since I liked CP9, don't know who that is, I decided to change Urshifu to Dark-type. It was a bit of a troll part, I guess, and that helped mystify people. A team that was Mono-type in team preview, but not in combat. Ha ha ha. I like that. I believe Flash also helped with the translation of this report, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I think so. The sets of all Pokemon were unique and had a lot of synergy. They helped me finish the Swiss 7-1, really 7-2 since I didn't play the last game. Yeah, he goes 7-1. 7-1 with this team, so you can see that it's not the kind of team you might necessarily expect to be going 7-1 out of 8 rounds. And he finishes technically 7-2 in the 9th round because he already knows that he moves on, so he doesn't play the last one. At first, I couldn't believe I had made it. I went to rest early because I knew that the next day I would have very difficult games. Venusaur, Sand, TR teams, teams with great speed control, Lapras Mirror games, Urshifu, and Rillaboom. The damn ally switch. Okay, then he jumps into the team. So this is probably this is kind of the meat and the potatoes of this, I think, for most people, the actual team itself. So one thing I want to call attention to way in advance before, because I already looked through this, you all, if you're interested in competitive Pokemon and in how this team did well, the devil's in the details here. I think I used that expression correctly. But what you really need to pay attention to is the EV spreads that he's using, because his awareness of what his Pokemon had to do and the applications of that and the specific things that he EVs for, I think is a crucial factor of his success, just as a primer. So we see Lapras has Life Orb. Life Orb is actually growing in popularity on Lapras. It allows, like, one of Lapras's main weaknesses, in my opinion, is its inability to do damage all the time. Like, for example, you can G-Max Lapras and set up Aurora Veil, but because it doesn't have that much damage output, if it's not hitting things for super effective, it's relatively easy to stall out. And then if you conserve your Dynamax until after Lapras is Dynamaxed, then you can pretty easily, not easily, but it's a pretty solid counter strategy in general. Like, obviously, a lot depends on the specific teams, but in general, I think it's not that problematic. Life Orb offensive Lapras goes ahead and tries to mitigate that. The reason why he runs Blizzard over Freeze Dry is because Freeze Dry's base power in Dynamax is 120, and Blizzard is 140. So he opts for 3 offensive moves rather than many Lapras just go Protect, Freeze Dry, Hydro Pump, and then normally Perish Song as the 4th. So he actually goes for 3 offensive moves. And you can see that even though he's clearly an offensive Lapras, he invests primarily in special attack and speed. He does invest a little bit in defense and HP as well, and that's for a specific reason. He says Lapras is the most standard set. When I used it, it was always Gigantamax because I needed that power to ensure the OHKO against non-bulky Dragapult, Togekiss, etc. HP stat is 209. I've talked about this before, but you always want to be, 10N minus 1 with Life Orb. If you have Life Orb, that's the ideal number to be at. Basically, your last digit should be 9. Or as close to 9 without going over it as you can be to optimize your Life Orb. Because if he had, basically with 209 HP, this is probably more detailed than you need, but with 209 HP stat, his Lapras takes 20 points of recoil every time he uses the Life Orb, because Pokemon doesn't round, it truncates. So 209 HP, Life Orb takes 10%. 10% of 209 is 20.9. Pokemon doesn't round, so that 0.9 gets truncated, does 20 damage. If he had one more HP EV, he would have 210 HP, and each Life Orb hit would do 21 damage rather than 20. So he's aware of Life Orb. At the same time, I can take advantage of the grassy terrain of the opponent. That's because it's over 202, which is 16N, which is the number we want to be at for grassy terrain or be under for Sandstorm. 98 speed. So he picks a specific speed stat, which is rather, pretty fast for Lapras. He invests a lot in speed. With 98 speed, I could beat Turbo Amoonguss, which is 90 max stat, the base 70 Pokemon with few EVs, and most notably, I could beat the base 81 plus speed Pokemon when they were at -1. So at first I thought this was a typo. I was like, what do you mean -1? You don't have any... Or, the biggest Pokemon I think he's referencing here are, Togekiss, but... or is Togekiss 85? Well, I don't know. Yeah. So basically, he's talking about -1, which made Lapras paired with Scary Face Urshifu a big threat. Now, yeah, like I said, I thought this was a typo because he mentions -1 and then Scary Face. However, he mentions an example to make this clear. For example, if I use G-Max Resonance and Scary Face, I could defeat Togekiss before he becomes a threat to Urshifu. If my opponent uses Dynamax and Togekiss, Lapras will be able to use Aurora Veil first and make it 2-hit KO before he attacks again, even if he uses Max Airstream and its 252 plus speed, and the situation is similar with Rillaboom. So, effectively what he's saying is, if I Scary Face and Max Resonance a Togekiss, I will guaranteed move before it, and if they Dynamax, and use Max Airstream, so now instead of being -2, they're only -1, I can still outspeed it again and KO with a second Max Resonance. So it's like this kind of foresight I think is really, really interesting. The awareness to use, like the Scary Face awareness, and the idea to consider even what happens if they Max Airstream. I think that's really, really interesting, and yeah, like there's a lot of things like that in this team. Like this team was built with a lot of intention behind it. Here's some calcs. It talks about KOing a Max Gyarados. Although the calc doesn't tell you if they're Dynamax or not, a typical thing that I do is look for the HP numbers. No Gyarados can have 340 HP at level 50, so it's got to be Dynamax. You can see it OHKO's Dynamax Dragon Bolt with Max Resonance. That's a reason for Blizzard over Freeze Dry that the rolls wouldn't be as favorable. Otherwise, you can see that at 2-hit KOs. So this OHKO is most standard Togekiss, and this is non-Dynamax, so that means that if they do Dynamax, you'll 2-hit KO. And you can see that you also one-shot non-Dynamax Rillaboom. So, if it's a Assault Vest, so that's pretty good. On the defensive side, he puts the instead of just dumping an HP, which, maybe some people would have been tempted to, he goes exactly the right HP number that he needs and puts a lot in defense, and you can see what that does here is it makes Lapras 3-hit KO'd by Grassy Glide. It's 3-hit KO'd by Grassy Glide if you Dynamax. And that also means that it's not OHKO'd, or it's only OHKO'd probably 1/6 of the time, or 1/16th of the time if you do not Dynamax. So, clearly, just the first Pokemon, we can see that a lot of thought has gone into this. Seaking, the Pokemon probably most people are interested in. I love this spread. I think this is a super cool spread. The calcs are really interesting, so pay attention to this one. Ice Beam, Scald, Hornedrill, Protect. He runs Rindo Berry, which I was a little surprised by, but after seeing the calcs, I thought made a lot of sense. And that's fully in bulk. So, Scald and Ice Beam are here just so Seaking, does something, has like some coverage moves. Maybe it does some damage if you get a special attack boost, but primarily Seaking is a defensive tool. Well, let's see what he has to say about it. I decided to use Seaking because of its ability, Lightning Rod. It was used to win the Lapras Mirror and to deal with electric Pokemon or very bulky Pokemon such as Porygon 2, Milotic, or Chansey. Another role it had was to help me transition thanks to its bulk and its ability. I think by transition he means like switch around. Horn Drill seemed like a very useful tech to me when I faced stall teams. Nothing better than a driller to knock down a good wall. Ha ha ha! Space exclamation point. What he means here is that Pokemon like Milotic, Pokemon like Chansey, and Pokemon like Porygon 2 typically run like Milotic, Scald, and Water Move, or Hypnosis and Water Move. Porygon 2, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt. You can't use Thunderbolt against Seaking. Chansey, maybe you could still get Seismic Toss, I don't even know. Horn Drill is a move where, on average, of course, you'd expect every 3 times you use it to take a KO, right? Every 3 attacks you launch with Horn Drill, you should take 1 KO. And these Pokemon that Seaking is intended to deal with, these really bulky walls, can't remove Seaking quickly at all. Milotic, Porygon 2, and Chansey, none of those Pokemon can easily get rid of Seaking. And so, you should have, in a 1 versus 1 situation, the odds are in your favor, effectively. So I actually really like the Horn Drill tech here. You're not using it as like something you're relying on. You're using it as, okay, like, well, if we're just going to be sitting here for forever, I may as well click Horn Drill. And the offensive calc includes this. Seaking Horn Drill versus Max HP, Max Defense, but not a boosting nature. Eviolite, Porygon 2, 999, guaranteed death. Here's the defensive calcs, because this is where things get really interesting and where I really like his spread. He actually lives Max Drum Solo through Aurora Veil, which is an extremely powerful and super effective move. So this calc is kind of crazy. That's in terrain as well. If they get a special attack boost and they crit, it still doesn't OHKO. So even if, I don't really know how they get the special attack boost, only 1 at least, but yeah, you can see that it still survives crit plus 1 special attack Airstream. Helping Hand, sorry, I'm stupid. Yeah, Helping Hand, crit Max Airstream doesn't OHKO Seaking. It lives Life Orb, Max Airstream from Siderachi. It lives Dragon Bolt, Max Phantasm most of the time, not 100% of the time. Here's a cool one. It's it's most of the time going to be 3-hit KO'd by Indeedee Expanding Force. In Aurora Veil, it's 3-hit KO'd by Dracovish, giving you chances to Scald and potentially burn it. It lives Hatterini, Max Starfall, and it lives Venusaur, Max Vine Lash, that was nutty to me. When I saw this one, I was like, that's really impressive, honestly. So he really makes Seaking work. Like, these defensive calcs are really, really cool. And I don't know, I was really impressed with them. So, yeah. Next up, he talks about Urshifu. So this is the G-Max Urshifu. It's Dark-type form. It has Unseen Fist, level 50, max attack, max speed. Nothing fancy the EVs here. Sometimes knowing how to EV a Pokemon is knowing when you just do 252, 252. Wicked Blow, Close Combat, Scary Face, and Detect. So Scary Face is the weird move here. But he talks about why he chose it and what move it uses. Or why he chose Scary Face specifically and how it fits with the rest of the team. So it makes sense after I read about that. The purpose of Urshifu is to outspeed base 96 Pokemon to be able to use Scary Face before they move, allowing the rest of my team to outspeed them. So he's chose it specifically because it's a fast Pokemon and he's taking advantage of the new speed mechanics, which allow you to instantly change the speeds of things. That's why Scary Face is really good. It's like a permanent tailwind on one opponent Pokemon. In order to achieve that, it needs 252 speed EVs and speed with positive nature, so it left me with very few EVs to invest in bulk, so I decided to slap a Focus Sash on it and dump the rest of EVs in attack to help grab more KOs for the rest of the team. Doesn't really need to explain it, but he does explain it anyway. Max speed, max attack, it's probably optimal on Urshifu. He doesn't run any calcs here because... Actually, you know what? I like that he doesn't include any calcs here because it shows a wherewithal that he wasn't using the attack like... He didn't EV for anything, he just went as strong as he could. So I like that he doesn't include any calcs here. But I think it's really cool. If we look at the team as a whole, Urshifu's the fastest Pokemon minus Tentacruel. So like having this kind of speed control for a lot of like all these Pokemon are mid-speed, right? Minus Dracovish. Actually, it's Scarf Dracovish, so Dracovish is faster. But like being able to control the speed around your mid-speed Pokemon, especially since Lapras sounds like a key player here, I just think it's such a cool thing. So yeah. We were on... This Gyarados is so cool. Look at this. Okay, Safety Goggles, Moxie Gyarados. I'm surprised he didn't run Intimidate, but he goes Moxie. I'm surprised he doesn't run Intimidate specifically, because I typically feel like on a support Gyarados, you want Intimidate, and on an offensive Gyarados, you want... on offensive Gyarados, you want Moxie, but he chooses to use Moxie, and this is kind of like a hybrid Gyarados to me. It looks like it can max, but it doesn't have to. The EVs are cool. He invests max speed a lot in bulk, like a ton in bulk, and then... like a little bit of attack and 4 defense. It's Jolly max speed, so it outspeeds Togekiss, and Waterfall Bounce, Taunt, and Flamethrower. So, normally on Gyarados, you expect Waterfall Bounce, Power Whip, Earthquake, or if it's Assault Vest, or Protect, or Dragon Dance, or something like that, but he opts for both Taunt and Flamethrower. Now, Gyarados has an abysmal special attack stat, and although special attack in Gyarados has actually popped up quite a bit in VGC history, it's not something you would typically use. He talks about why he uses it here, but I think this whole process is super cool. This is the most difficult slot to fill due to the boom of Venusaur, Venusaur, Torkoal, and Dusclops. I wanted a Pokemon that would put me at an advantage against different threats, and Gyarados was the only one that allowed me that versatility. Safety Goggles allow Gyarados to use Taunt against Dusclops and to hit Venusaur without worrying Sleep Powder. Without worrying. Oh, sorry, there was some dust on my screen, so I thought it was a period. Without worrying Sleep Powder shenanigans. Alongside G-Max Resonance, Gyarados Flamethrower could beat G-Max Venusaur. I don't totally understand this, but... No, actually, I do. Oh, wait, I didn't understand it, and then I figured it out. I'll talk about that in a second. In addition, it is also a Pokemon that can deal very well with Ferrothorn, Escavalier, etc. The most important thing about the CV spread is that it allowed me to resist 2 G-Max Vine Lashes. So, why does he talk about Flamethrower here? Because I'm sure some of you, like me, are confused about why use Flamethrower. Gyarados is a flying type. It can use Bounce. The reason is that if you want to hit Venusaur turn 1 with a move, you'd have to Dynamax your Gyarados. And he mentions earlier that he almost always is Gigantamaxing his Lapras on this team. At least if he brings it. And so since he explicitly mentions Lapras against Venusaur, you basically, like, let's say Venusaur's Focus Sash. You're going to want to hit it with max move from Lapras, but what is Gyarados going to do? So he runs Flamethrower for the reason that it's a super effective move that hits Venusaur, and you don't need to Dynamax to be able to use it. Here's the calc. So he runs a ton of special defense, but you can see that even with Vine Lash, if you max your Gyarados, it's a 3-hit KO always. So you have the option, of course, to go for max flying, and you won't be 3-hit KO. You won't be 2-hit KO'd by Vine Lash. You can basically try and trade your Gyarados for Venusaur, which I think is pretty strong. That's the only calc he includes, because I mean max speed makes sense on a Gyarados. You want to outspeed Togekiss. And then yeah, the bulk is just for, he tried to use as few EVs as possible, is my guess, to be 3-hit KO'd by G-Max Vine Lash, and then the rest is an attack, and then 4 defense because it's optimal. Now here's Tentacruel. What a cool, I like Tentacruel a lot. It's such a cool use of it, honestly. Like the way he uses Tentacruel is so sick. I consider Tentacruel a good Pokemon in the actual metagame. Thanks to Clear Body, it doesn't get a drop in speed when paired with Scarf Dracovish. He has Bulldoze to activate the weakness policy. That way, I get outspeed common threats like Cinderace or Togekiss while activating weakness policy in the process. It has decent bulk and move pool, so even if it's not the most offensive Pokemon, it can grab a couple of boosts thanks to Max Ooze and from the rain from Max Geyser. It's difficult to use, though, because you are forced to switch out after using Bulldoze with Dracovish, so it acted more as a best-of-1 cheese to help me get a quick advantage in Game 1. I still really like it. +2 Max Special Attack, Max Ooze versus Clefairy, one-shots it, and then it lives Max Lightning from opposing Lapras in Electric Terrain, even if it doesn't Dynamax. Wow. Even if it doesn't even if it doesn't Dynamax, it's never one-shot here by Max Lapras in Electric Terrain, so that's really cool. And if it does, even if the Electric Terrain is up, and even if they do, even if you're Dynamax, then it's a 3 KO. And then it actually lives Grassy Glide. 3 OHKO using its Terrain and Protect. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So it's a 3-hit KO using Terrain and Protect from Rillaboom Grassy Glide, which is actually super cool. And then last but not least, we have Gyarados. So we have Fish's Rend, Psychic Fangs, Outrage, Bulldoze, Gyarados. Why am I saying Gyarados? Dracovish won a tournament. This is the second tournament, at least the Dracovish has won, which is cool. EV Spread is cool, though. He runs a lot of special defense on it, which is unusual, but I like it a lot, honestly. I think it's a really good idea. So, Jolly Nature, but not Max Speed. This EV Spread and the EV Spreads in general are really, really specific, and I like, honestly, some of the best EVing I've seen in a long time. So, I'm really impressed by it, personally. Let's talk about why he uses the EVs he does. I needed a way to activate Tentacle's weakness policy, so I picked the most common water-type Scarf Pokemon, Dracovish, as his main purpose was to activate said weakness policy, and with the team being a mono-water team, I needed to survive Venusaur's G-Max Vine Lash with as many Pokemon as possible, so that is the reason why it's not as offensive as the standard set. I did Psychic Fangs to be able to KO Venusaur in conjunction with Gyarados. Here's the calcs. It always lives Max Vine Lash, though I think it would be KO'd after this by the actual spread passive damage. I'm not totally sure about that one. But if it's not Life Orb, and if it's not, or if it's Timid, which most when actually, maybe it's Modest, but yeah, it should probably survive Timid. But yeah, the passive damage probably KOs Venusaur here. Yeah, matchups versus Torkoal and Venusaur. Gyarados plus Dracovish, Gyarados plus Lapras, Urshifu plus Lapras. Depending on the rest of the team, I used one lead or another, depending the best of 3. Psychic Fangs plus Max Airstream, OHKO Venusaur, Flamethrower and Max Resonance, OHKO Venusaur, Wicked Blow plus G-Max Resonance, OHKO Duskblocks. That's sick. Versus Lapras Mirror, Lapras plus Urshifu with Seaking in the back. I can do damage with this lead, and in the second or 3 turn, change to Seaking to stall the Lapras Dynamax with the Aurora Veil, plus Lapras Seaking. Versus PZ plus Fairy Follow Me, Tentacle Dracovish. First turn, I use Bulldoze to activate the weakness policy and lower the speed of both opposing Pokemon. At +2, Tentacle can OHKO most Fairy-type Pokemon, including Eevee like Clefairy. Presumably, he has Urshifu in the back then. Versus Terracotta, Tentacruel plus Dracovish. It works just like the previous matchup. I managed to beat Whimsicott after using Bulldoze because Tentacruel outspeeds it, not letting him use Beat Up. In that situation, Whimsicott can only use Tailwind. Very clever. He's really thought through like a lot of this. G-Max Resonance and Wicked Blow can give OHKO to a DD, even if it wears Sash. Also, I can stall Trick Room with Aurora Veil. Smart. Versus Ted. Togekiss X-Drill Dragapult. Lapras, Urshifu. If the rival starts with Togekiss, I use Scary Face and G-Max Resonance to OHKO it. Meanwhile, Urshifu does not faint from Sand, plus Dazzling Gleam. If he Dynamaxes Togekiss, as I explained, he only have 1 turn to deal damage before fainting. I usually use Dracovish plus Tentacruel on my back in case he have Togekiss on the back. Closing words. This is the team I used to win the... Oh, okay, he showed the rental code, but go to his page. Show some support, please. I'm not showing the rental code anymore. I mean, you can really find it if you want, but you should go check out his Twitter. Go show the guy some love because, I don't know, the team is super sick. And I think it's super cool. So, actually, I forgot to follow. I realize now. There we go. This is the team I used to win in the second VR Circuito Galar tournament. 915 players, a fun and original team with spirit that also stands up to the most common Pokemon. It's an amazing story. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't love the trope like you should win with your favorites because I think winning with a team that you think is cool and being creative or just winning at all or playing the way that you want to play, I think is totally fine. I'm not a big fan of like the pushing really hard. You should win with your favorites. But this guy, his story is really cool. He used a very unorthodox team that frankly looks like the kind of team I would play at like in the 10,000s on Battle Spot, and he won a really, really serious tournament with a bunch of good players. And yeah, I mean, after looking at the team report, it makes a lot more sense to me. So much thought went into this team, and everything is so specific and so planned. This team feels like a masterpiece. At least as an outsider looking at it, the team feels really brilliant, and yeah, it makes me very interested in his teams in general. So I hope you enjoyed this. I want to say thank you again to Mithos for sharing this with me and for letting me share this with all of you. Please just show him some love on Twitter because I think he made a Twitter just to get in contact with me so that I could share more details about the team because he saw so many people were really loving it and were so interested in it. So Yeah, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this. I might use the team of the channel if you all are interested, so let me know down below. But yeah, thank you to Mithos, thank you to Flash for sharing this, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed, because this is a really cool story. So, with all that being said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.